So my name is Dr. Joan Collier. I serve as Assistant Vice President for Learning and Engagement in our Office of University Equity and Inclusion. But y'all are like, girl, who cares? Exactly. What I'm really here to do is talk to y'all about being an American abroad. So this is my tag from this past summer 2024, where I was a global fellow, which means I'm a stack person who travels with short-term study abroad. Y'all the long-term cool kids who were there for a good while, fully immersed in a whole host of cultures and people and places and things. And so my job was to go with the students and just be like, hey, how's it going? What's up? What do we need help translating? Not language, but experience. Okay. And part of that was, what does it mean to be American in someone else's home? Okay. Now, before I decided to go be a staff fellow, which was really great, I don't need to pass around my name tag, but I'm really dorky, so I'm gonna wear it because I love it. And I will have another time to wear it, so I'm gonna wear it today. When I was college, we'll say I was in like my fourth year, I went to South Africa for the first time. So this was a good full circle moment. But when I left to go, I had never been abroad. It was a reason why I got my passport, was to go to South Africa. My mother had not traveled at all internationally, and up to that point had only been on a plane once. And my father had served in the armed services, so he was minding his business. But my parents were kind of clear about, like, you represent us when you leave here. And I had always known that, so that was no big deal. But I would tell people from that time on, I had never really thought about what it meant to be American when I left the country. I'd always been American, but I'd always been from the United States, lived in the United States, and I thought about what it meant to be away. So before I go further in, whose first time out of the country might this be? Oh, congratulations. It's going to be a good time. No shame in that. No shame in that. In fact, can we clap that up? Because deciding to leave and you're going to be gone for a minute, that's big. That's real big. My mama, I was only gone for 21 days. And my mom was on me like white on rice. She wanted to know where I was, who I was going with, what were they doing, how many languages did they speak, who was going to bring me back. I'm like, Delta Airlines. Like, what you mean who's going to bring me back? The same plane that took me over there. But being American abroad, I didn't quite get. So let me set the scene. So I'm 41. So y'all would call me old. That's okay. Somebody didn't make it. I'm all right with y'all calling me old. I'm 41. When I went to college, I went to college in in like 2002. So when I was traveling was 2006. 2006, our country was involved in a war. 9/11 had happened a few years earlier. Okay? So on the global front, the United States was in a war. We had an unpopular president, George Bush, and folks wanted to know why we voted for him. And I was trying to break down these demographic differences. Ain't nobody care. They wanted to know things. I was like, why am I being held accountable for this information? And it had not dawned on me that I would be accountable for information about our country. Call it naive, call it silly, but that awareness was not there. So that was one thing about it. And I think we're in a situation now where people will have questions about what's going on in this country. Regardless of what your thoughts on that are, you may have people ask you, and you'll want to think about what does that mean for you to respond back to them in a way that is useful to them, in a way that helps folk understand the United States. Because while you are going somewhere else to learn, people are learning through and from you. My title is, AVP for Learning and Engagement, but I believe that these immersed experiences are really time for everyone to learn from everyone. So where is someone else's home, whether I don't know what your arrangements are, whose house you got to be in. I don't know all of that. I stayed in hotels when I traveled abroad, so I didn't have that, or I was in somebody's residence hall. It looked a little bit different. So that's it on the political pieces. I'm not going to stay there too long. Any questions about that? Remember, this is being recorded. So be discerning in your questions on that piece. But any questions on that? No. Okay, great. So when you leave, the code of conduct goes with you. The code of conduct goes with you. Everybody cool on that? Okay, somebody said yeah, real good. I'm gonna say that counts for the whole group. Okay, so when y'all when I think about being an American abroad as well, the hello, oh no, did it go out? Kind of. Did it just go off or went out? I think it might be battery. Hold on a second, because I also could have hit the wrong thing. But let me not get this telling story. Can the people on the video still hear? Yeah, they can. Okay, I'm gonna come stand in the middle and talk a little bit louder. Okay, cool. Thank you. And so let me grab my train of thought because my ADHD just kicked right on in. Uh, when you go abroad, no, it still didn't come back. Hold on a second. Yes. Um, let me grab my thought, y'all. Give me 2 seconds. What was I just saying? Somebody help me out here. The code of conduct definitely goes with you. So just be thoughtful. Be thoughtful when you show up in different places. I think what I was trying to get to was that even though I was going abroad and trying to mind my business, this second go round for me, I went with graduate students. And I made some presumptions about what they were able to do that maybe undergraduates were not in the same way positioned to do, but I actually don't believe that. So as you're out and about, one of the conversations that came up with our students was around comparison versus just like asking for understanding, getting curious. A lot of my work, I was going back to awareness. That's what I was doing. When we were out and about at different colleges, at different places of business, et cetera, what would happen is my students and I would get together, they would chat, and they immediately went to critique. Immediately they went to critique. Well, we were in this part of South Africa and they did it like this, and we don't understand why they did it like that. In our country, we do it like this, and this is insert evaluation, better, worse, good, bad, etc., blah, blah, blah. And what I would say is, let's think about instead, is that me? That's you? Oh, that's somebody. Okay. It's somebody. It's probably a new microphone. That's okay. Is that when we turn to wonder, it invites us to get curious about what might have caused this change or the shift in that thing. So I learned that in this country, in the academy, a lot of our work around difference is around critique. It's better, it's worse, it's less. Thank you so much. It's less, it's more, it's better, it's worse. It's immediately a zero-sum game. And there's not a lot of room for curiosity. I invite you to actually get curious about what the differences are and what those things mean. And so when we were in South Africa, there was an opportunity to learn about how the nation made space for students to figure out where they were going to go to college. We have a system for that in this country, and there was an immediate debate about which one was better or worse. And my question became, why can't we get curious about how they got here? To figure out how this looks and what it looks like and what the cultural differences are, not in a bad way, in a way that's curious to help them out, right? So try to avoid the critique. That's how we're trained sometimes academically, but try to stick to curiosity and dialogue. I find that it goes better, particularly because sometimes the stereotypes about Americans are that we just are loud and wrong. We just be, oh yes, loud and wrong. And I'm not saying we're not always loud and wrong. Some of us are loud and wrong. Sometimes people, there are tropes that can be said about people from the United States. People are nodding, which means you've heard some of these tropes. Okay. Other people's opinions can inform how we make sense of the world, but they don't have to determine how we show up. So we determined we want to show up with respect in other people's spaces. And that means understanding cultures on the ground and what those implications are. It means that it can mean, let me not say what it does, it can mean that when we are confronted with a stereotype or a trope about what it means to be from the United States, that we think about how someone might have come to that conclusion. It does not mean that we adopt it and we accept it, but we can get curious about it. It might provide us an opportunity to wonder. I wonder how someone came to believe those things. I wonder what the relationship between the United States and this country is or has been, and how that might have informed how someone got to that opinion. Does that make sense? So I'm not, thank you. You know what? Now I'm Baptist and I appreciate a good talk back. So thank you. I appreciate that. I come from a very demonstrative background, which means call and response. So when someone's talking, if you agree with it, you like, yep, got it, understand. And then if you're like, no, if you're like, nope, don't got it. It's very clear on the front end. We don't have to ask questions. We just know. So there's that. What I was going to get back to before I lost my real train of thought was that the awareness, the onus of awareness is on us. Where are y'all going? Are these the places that you're going, where you're at? Oh, y'all about to travel. Let me come look around. I'm over there. You're going. Now, what you doing over here? That's your friend? Okay, y'all going to France, Australia? Australia. Oh, that's real cute. How long y'all going to be there? 5 months. 5 months. All right. How long is that flight? A long time. Okay, y'all going to England? Y'all going to the same part? Y'all about to be besties? There you go. I like that. He said possibly, maybe not. Y'all going to Japan. Now, how long is y'all flight? Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Y'all, where y'all going? Italy? I watched season 2 of White Lotus. I have a great appreciation for Italy. Thank you so much for that. Really great shopping. It was such a good time. Now, y'all not going to Germany. Y'all just back there at the table. Okay. Like Ireland? Oh, have a good time? Who's that? Is that Finland? Who's that? Y'all going to Norway? Okay. And then let me see where y'all going back here. Spain? Oh, y'all having a good time. What is this? Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay, great. My fake glasses still work. Okay. So you want an awareness of yourself, right? The last time I gave this talk, I was kind of concrete, and I want to be concrete with some things. There is no there may or may not be an ADA, right? Americans with Disabilities Act, because they're not Americans in those other countries. So you want to be thoughtful about policy, culture, and law. If you are going to a place where there are restrictions all around expression of sexuality or gender, be thoughtful. Okay? If you are going up to somewhere else and you have a high, their idea that Americans think too much about race, think too much about identity, think too much about the problems associated with identity. If you encounter some interesting, problematic, maybe to you, right? Like, oh, that was kind of problematic. That was kind of janky. That was kind of weird. Experience how you surface that might look a little different. Okay. What you are thinking about is who are you in your everyday and how do you need to be supported when you're somewhere else? I think long-term study abroad, they're not always with another like staff faculty member. No. Y'all, they just out in the street, roaming around. Oh my gosh. Let y'all go over there and be free. All right, y'all, look, that makes me low-key nervous. I'm at that auntie phase of life. That makes me very nervous. But y'all got this. But that means that y'all really have to have this thing because it is just y'all. Okay? So be thoughtful when you're outside. And I'm not saying y'all don't know how this works because some people have families that do not originate on this land. Okay? So this is not new to be somewhere in a different country that's different. That's not a thing. But when you come into a space with a blue passport, it can look a little bit different. You just want to be thoughtful about what that means, okay? And what that can invite you into. There may be people who make presumptions about the amount of money that you have, right? So be thoughtful about that. There may be presumptions about you not really being from the United States, which is wild to me. Flim flam. What do you do when you're confronted with that? And how are you making meaning of your American identity while you're abroad? I'm a Black American. I descend from enslaved Africans on this land. I think we're 6 generations out on my dad's side, maybe 7 on my father's side. So my connection to this land is always kind of wonky. It's just kind of weird. We did not immigrate here. They just kind of picked us up and dropped us off. And we did some unpaid labor here. And then we got free and made really big strides and had a long journey to civil rights in the 1960s. Okay. And so my context to the United States has always been like kind of complicated. And so when I went to South Africa and somebody was like, "You're American," I was like, "Yeah, okay." But that really piece about what does it mean to be there and to give account for my entire country when I don't know that I've always was able to get accountability within my own country. So what does it mean to be grappling with the idea of democracy in your own country? And now you're abroad thinking about it in a different context. But it was a great opportunity for me to learn and think about, who do I want to be as an American? What does that mean when I get back home? And what can I do with it? And also, what can I learn about myself from that time here? And so, I got to rethink patriotism, and I got to rethink what it means to be a global citizen, learning about human rights and, treaties that we've been a part of and how that makes sense and our interactions in the global context I was not always aware of, or the implications of those things. And again, whether I agree with the actions of my country or not was not really the question. It was understanding how our actions impacted the rest of the world, and my willingness and ability to engage in it, and the privilege of not having to know. All right. So that was kind of part of what was going on with that. With y'all, though, y'all about to be outside. What questions do you have for me about what you might want to do with your experience grappling with being American or living here and then going abroad before you get out there? I trust that y'all already got a game plan in place, but just to make sure you got a game plan, you said, Jess, you already have a game plan. Do you want to share a tip? No? All right, just keep it in your journal. But you got a plan. See, See, you're not on task over here.
I have somewhat of a.
Can I give you the mic so people can hear?
Sure.
Thank you. There you go.
I have somewhat of a little outline. I would call a complete plan. There's kind of some goals that I set of where I would want to do before I leave, after, if I'm gonna, stay abroad and try to do something else there. Also, we were talking about at our university, we want to get involved with clubs and put ourselves out there and take advantage of everything and not, kind of isolate and be scared. It's okay to be scared.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. Tell me your name.
Kaylee.
Kaylee? Can we clap it up for Kaylee? Look, y'all, being a grown-up means you do scared stuff all the time. You be scared and still doing it. Y'all got this. Y'all do. Have a plan. When you meet the people, have a plan for what you want to do. When you come back, find you 2 people. Find them in this room. Find them at your table. Find you some people that you can decompress with, who you can talk at your experience with people who kind of get it. At least they did something similar. Okay? If you can't organize it, I hate to tell y'all, but go find the folks at Global and tell them you want a room for an hour and you want to get together with some other long-term people and y'all want to figure some stuff out. I spent 3 weeks in Ghana and you would have thought I was a brand new woman. I came back, vibrant clothes, new ideas around concepts of time versus rhythm and why colonization was raggedy and a whole host of other stuff. And, I'm African-American and I had a whole host of things going on. And I needed to talk to somebody about that because my parents was like, this is great, Ashe and all of that. But they didn't really get it. And that's okay, but give us somebody who you can talk through some stuff with, and you don't have to have answers. I invite you to grapple. One of the things I love about higher ed is that you get to really think about thinking. You get to think about thinking. I have a PhD, so we think about things. Is why it's called a doctorate of philosophy in education. You think about the way you think. And so when you're thinking about your thinking outside of this country, beyond this land, let that be part of your work. What are y'all traveling for? I know it's school, but what types of schooling are you doing? There's theater. Does that mean you in theater? No? What are you doing? Can I put you on blast real quick?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
IT.
You doing IT? Ooh, that's fun. Okay, now what you gonna be doing with it?
In London.
Oh, okay, that sounds real fun. I don't know how you're gonna fit this in, but IT is fascinating. So how might your identity as American show up in IT? You might be saying, I don't know. I would say give yourself time to let it emerge. See what comes up. Don't force it, but just see what comes up. What else are y'all traveling for? Discipline-wise, what's your discipline? Major? Area of concentration? Computer science? How many of y'all are computer science people? A handful? Okay, yeah. What are y'all doing over here? Marketing? Oh, that's so much fun. Marketing outside the U.S. is really interesting. I would say it makes it even more interesting to come back and revisit what we call marketing here. And the way we think about selling people ideas. or crafting their ideas for them to then sell it back to them. Fascinating concepts. The idea that you can sell somebody something, an idea. What else are you traveling for?
Soccer.
Soccer? That's real.
I'm a huge fan.
And you should be. Soccer's pretty dope. And why we call it soccer and everybody else calls it football?
Because Americans like to be different.
And therein lies a lot of questions. Like why we use, the imperial system. Everyone else is on metrics and I don't know kilometers except for when I do my 5Ks. Right? So when I go places, I'm like, how much is that? How much does that do? What's that weight in kilometers and like kilograms? I don't know what that means. I just know I'm thick. So I'm saying get curious. Get curious about what it might mean to be from the United States in any moment, but particularly beyond the borders of this country and learning in a long term, right? Particularly for y'all after a huge election where there's a lot going on that people in the country are making sense of, outside the country are trying to make sense of, and y'all are going to come back to a country that may look very different or may still be in battle when you get back. This may be a reprieve, it may not. So I'm just saying, I invite you to get curious about what all this means for you while you're away and to do some exploring that you otherwise might not be able to do. And if you've already been doing this work, continue to do it. There's some questions potentially in the audience. Any questions on or off this topic? I really don't mind. Okay. Anything from the global staff y'all wanted me to cover that I did not get to? I can walk to the back and pull the mic down. Okay, y'all look good. Well, I'm not going to hold y'all no longer because y'all look like y'all ready to go and I'm not going to stand in the way. So really, honestly, truly, I wish y'all safe travel, sincerely, a good time. I hope that y'all are journaling. I'm a journal girl. Take fun pictures. Think about pictures. Remember that people have autonomy to say no, they don't want to be in your picture. Don't be the jerk, okay? Think about who you're photographing, especially if they're children. Be careful with that. And yeah, I hope y'all have a really great time. And please be safe. Come back to us and be well.
Absolutely.
Come back to us. And if something bad happens, like pick up the phone when we call you because y'all tried to play during COVID and not pick up the phone. Pick up the phone.
It's okay.
Yep.
All right.